guys, Kelly here, and today I want to share with you my most recent reads. I have actually read 6 books recently, a couple audiobooks and 4 physical books, and this one I have a range of ages and genres, so it's kind of fun. So I'm going to start off with the ones I like the least, go to the ones I like the best. So starting off with, I'm going to talk about one of my audiobooks, which was Her Pretty Face by Robyn Harding. This was an adult thriller. It's a domestic thriller, but it's not like one of those thrillers that has like a ton of twists and turns. It is mostly just kind of a character study into how people react to their past and to each other. So I wouldn't call it the most like thrilling or like surprising kind of book. It is just in basic terms because you don't want to know a lot going in. We are following basically 2 women who are moms. They know each other through their kids in school. And we just kind of know that they both have something in their past and we don't know what it is, and we're just kind of learning about that past at the same time as we're seeing their friendship, and like the couples are both like also becoming friends, how that's happening in regular time and then kind of going back and forth to the past. So it really is just kind of an analysis of the secrets we hold and how they affect our present and stuff like that. So I didn't find it really all that exciting. Domestic thrillers just might not be my thing because, you know, I am married with children, so I really don't care about hearing about other people that are just going by their day-to-day like life in the PTA and dealing with moms that are judging other moms. Like, I don't really care about that because that could be my life, and so I know that sounds weird, but I'm already like living that life. Why do I care about read somebody else it? And then like the secrets in this one I thought were pretty obvious, so I kind of guessed everything, and like I said, there's not like a lot of twists. I think it's probably pretty common that people guess, but for me that just doesn't make it exciting, because if I don't care what's happening in their current time and I already have guessed what's happening in their past, then there wasn't much to keep me drawn in. So I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't like it was horribly written or anything. It was well written. It was interesting to kind of see how these women's lives have been changed by what has happened in their past and their personalities. But overall, I didn't find it like that exciting or interesting. And then next I have Grave Mercy by Robyn LaFevers. Is that how you say it? This is the first book in the His Fair Assassin trilogy. This is about nun assassins, basically. So these women are recruited to be nuns of, what's the saint? Saint Mortain, I believe. So these are women that are recruited to become nuns of that convent and learn how to kill people in the name of the god of death. This is like a historical fiction fantasy. So this takes place in like the 1400s, and so we have a lot of that like court drama of like what's going on in the kingdoms, and then we are following one of these assassins, Ismay, as she kind of she's just starting, so she's just like doing her first kills and her first service to the god of death. And this is very easily readable, like even though it's like 500 some pages, it flew by, it read really quick, so it was entertaining. I liked kind of like the court drama and stuff, but I felt like it was a little lacking on kind of what, I mean, it's set up as like being nun assassins and everybody talks about that, but we didn't spend a lot of time in the convent at the beginning, so we didn't really get to learn about a lot about their training or about their skill building or anything like that. And then she's just thrown in kind of the court setting, and she just seems completely incompetent. Like throughout the book, I kept being like, I was buddy reading this with a few friends, and all of us were like, is this girl good at anything? Because she's been taught even like how to blend in with nobles and stuff like that as part of her training, and it just seems like she sticks out like a sore thumb, and she doesn't even seem that competent in terms of like being an assassin. So I don't know, I really didn't like her as a character, but I did enjoy like kind of just the overall story. It was kind of fun, so I gave it 3 stars. I wouldn't like say it's amazing, but if you're looking for a quick read and Nun Assassin sounds interesting to you, maybe check out other reviews, because not everybody hates Ismay as much as I do. This does continue as a trilogy where each book follows a different girl, and so I might continue because I've heard the second book follows a character that I actually really find interesting. So maybe I won't dislike it as much because it will be a more interesting character to me. So there's that. And then my last 3-star book was The Secret of the Old Clock by Carolyn Keene, and this is the first in the Nancy Drew mysteries. So this is the book that started all of it, and it was written in 1930. And I know I've probably read this book, and I've read a lot of the old Nancy Drew books when I was a kid, but I didn't remember. And you know, Nancy Drew is an icon, so I wanted to read it to see if it's something I wanted to buy for my daughter's library and like get like some Nancy Drew books. Well, I won't be getting this one because I just didn't really love it. I want to continue like to read some of the later books to see, but the writing in this was just so hard for me. The first half was just like torture for me to get through, truthfully. I know that probably crushes some people's like childhoods, but the writing is so bad. And I know that this is written in the 1930s, and I know that it is a children's, or I mean, she's 18, so I don't know if it was written originally for children or now we just read it to children because it's very tame in terms of the violence and the mystery. It's okay for kids to read now. But I've read a lot of children's books, and this is some of the worst writing that I've ever encountered. Like, even just the first page, I was just like rolling my eyes. I couldn't take it. Like, it just starts out with like, Nancy Drew, an attractive girl of 18, was driving home along a country road in her new dark blue convertible. It was sweet of Dad to give me this car for my birthday, she thought, and it's fun to help him with his work. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, if this is how all of the writing is, I just can't take it. It was just like so blah, 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 and like the dialogue, ugh. So I know I'm like ranting. It did get better as it went on. Like when we start to really get in the mystery, it felt like a little more action was happening, and I could ignore the writing and the dialogue a little bit. But overall, I just didn't really enjoy this one as much as I thought I would. But like I said, I've looked up kind of like people's top 10 favorite Nancy Drew books. So I'm going to try some other ones because this is the very first one. Maybe it took a little bit to get into the character and into the writing. I know that they're not all written by the same person because Carolyn Keene's actually a pseudonym, and there are actually several authors that happened over the time. So maybe it's just this one that I don't enjoy. So I'm not giving up on Nancy Drew completely, but this one I had a hard time. 3 stars. And then moving into ones that I really enjoyed. So the next book was Fall into Darkness by Christopher Pike. And I just have to say, these covers just bring me back to my childhood. I used to read Christopher Pike in like middle school or early high school. He was somebody that wrote a lot in the 90s, and he wrote like teen thrillers and horror books. And I haven't read one of these since then, and so I thought it was going to end up being really cheesy and stuff, but this actually was really enjoyable, and I felt like held up really well for being like 30 years old, because this is written in 1990. And it is a kind of murder mystery thriller about a group of 5 people, teens who go camping. I guess they're not all teens because some are in their younger 20s. So a group of 5 people go camping, and the 2 girls are best friends, and one girl dies on the camping trip, and the other one gets accused for her murder. And so in the book, we're following 2 timelines. We are in the courtroom where the best friend Sharon is on trial, and we're following the trial, and then we are going back in time during the camp out and learning what has happened leading up to the death and all that stuff. And I thought this one was really entertaining. The courtroom scenes were really like intense and fun. Like her lawyer is like one of those hotshot lawyers who is really enjoyable to listen to. The camping trip was kind of like full of some different like craziness and mystery. There was a lot of twists and turns. I mean, I think some of it was predictable, but it was definitely fun the entire time. I gave this 4 stars because it did get pretty ridiculous towards the end. Like, yeah. So it wasn't like a perfect thriller or anything, but I thought for the time period and everything that this was excellent and still holds up, and I would still recommend it today for those of you that might want to go to a blast for the past or might want to read just a classic teen thriller that they know is still going to hold up currently. And next, I listened to the audiobook of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. And this was a book I enjoyed in my childhood. I've also watched both movies throughout, you know, both childhood and like into adulthood. And I love the story, and I just wanted to see if I would still enjoy the story. And I have to say, I loved it. 5 stars. it's still just such a charming and quirky and fun story. The audiobook narration is excellent. I've really been enjoying this month listening to the Roald Dahl books because they pick excellent narrators that do a great job and make it super entertaining to listen to. And they're short audiobooks, so if you're doing like a little drive, you can pop them in. If your kids are of the age where they can have that on, then it's great. This one, in terms of like for parents to know, they do use the word ass once in the audiobook, so just know that for like if you have really young kids, you don't want hearing that. But otherwise, I would say that it would be okay for children. I did have my kids in the car with me while I was listening to it, and other than Willy Wonka getting a bit crazy, and obviously there's also the moral stuff of like, if kids are selfish and greedy, they're going to get their comeuppance. So if you don't want your kids exposed to that, then you might not want them to listen to it. But I found it great. Just the characters are fun. I love Charlie, you know, he's just the sweetest, and you know, you want good things for him. And Willy Wonka's just crazy and fun. And I've forgotten that like in the original book, the Oompa Loompas do sing songs or have little chants. They're not exactly like in the movie, but they are fun. So, and they are kind of like the moral message of the story. So we have that. I really enjoyed it and would recommend it for both kids and adults. It was a fun time. And then my last one was The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate, and I adored this book. It was definitely 5 stars. I want to get a copy of it for my kids. It was amazing. So this is about a gorilla named Ivan, and Ivan was a real gorilla that lived, but the only thing that's like necessarily true about this is like that he was a gorilla that did live in a mall, and like, but all the other animals in the story were fictionalized and all that. But I thought it was amazing. So this is about Ivan, who has lived most of his life in a cage inside a mall, and there are other animals. There's an elephant named Stella, and he has his best friend who's a dog, who's like a stray dog that just kind of wanders into his cage and lives in the mall. And then there's other kind of like birds and other things, but we don't know those animals. We basically just know the elephant, the dog, and Ivan. And it is amazing. It's about friendship and about your surrounding. Like, he doesn't know really much anything else. I mean, he remembers tiny bit about when he lived in the jungle before coming, but not a lot. Like, most of his life has just been in this cage and being with his friends, and like, but still dreaming about a future that has a little more freedom. And it is just amazing. I laughed in this so many times. There's some hilarious things, because this is actually told from the gorilla's point of view. So it has kind of some of that quirky stuff that if you can imagine a gorilla thinking it. So there is stuff like that that just made me laugh out loud. But then there was stuff that made me like almost cry, like some really heartfelt moments, especially with him and his friend, the elephant. And oh, I just thought this was a beautiful story. A great thing that you could read out loud with your kids, or if you just want to get it from the library to have a cute kind of childhood story to read for fun. I loved it. I just love it when a kid's book has equal parts humor and heart, and that's what this book was. So those are the 6 books I read recently. I had some ones that I really loved, and so I am excited to finish out March strong with a few more books to reach my like 31 books in March. I think this brings me up to 26 books so far. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you later. Bye.